And in the beginning, there was the stun grenade, an explosive device capable of such power, its concussion could cause permanent injury to the human body. In justified situations, it had its purposes. And in America, tactical law enforcement teams were looking at some of the missions being accomplished elsewhere by their use. September 5th, 1972. Dateline, Munich, West Germany. July 3rd, 1976. Dateline, Entebbe, Uganda. October 18th, 1977. Dateline, Mogadishu, Somalia. May 5th, 1980. Dateline, London. Operation Nimrod. The use of what was called the stun grenade had been deployed in several successful hostage rescues by both European and Middle East counter-terrorist units. The primary difference between American law enforcement and its European counterparts lies in the fact we do not have what is known as an acceptable body count. In other words, there was no place in the law enforcement arsenals for stun grenades. EOD technicians tried to see what could safely fill this need and considered the military's M115A2 or artillery simulator. However, its excessive charge seemed to be just a bit of an overkill. Another military device considered was the M116A1 hand grenade simulator. Again, disadvantages existed in the form of an unreliable 6 to 12 second delay friction fuse system. To alleviate one of these problems, the EOD techs placed the reliable 1.5 second delay M201A1 fuse in the unit. This device was known as the M116A1 modified and seemed to fill the need until some aberrations in performance again drew concern. Several times at the moment of explosion, the fuse head, composed of nearly 2 ounces of die-cast metal, would be propelled at high velocities, causing physical injury. In 1985, a California tactical officer lost part of a finger from this. And in 1989, this retired FBI agent underwent 7 hours of oral surgery after being struck in the jaw from the fuse of this device that exploded nearly 200 feet away. With this condition existing, research and development by explosive ordnance manufacturers came up with a unique deployment system, generically referred to as the separating submunition. Although from the outside this device has all the appearances of a military-type grenade, its method of operation was quite different. Initiated by the M201A1 fuse, the expanding gases of the fuse explosion were channeled into a tiny gas chamber in the neck of the grenade. The overpressure created would jettison the submunition, held in place by a rubber O-ring, out and away from the plastic body, and explode relatively harmlessly. The problems with this type of device were twofold. First, there was no accurate way to determine exactly where the submunition would land. Second was similar to the problem that brought the Space Shuttle Challenger down in 1987. The O-ring's reliability varied depending upon several conditions, such as temperature and humidity. If the submunition was not discharged, then the device became a fragmentation grenade. In an attempt to curb this malady, another manufacturer used the same principle, but made the entire body out of cardboard and used an adhesive with a known strength in place of the O-ring to keep the submunition in place. This seemed to solve the fragmentation threat, but still left accuracy and deployment of some concern. Stories of devices of this nature being tactically deployed into a room and kicking the submunition into a non-target room or back onto the entry team themselves were reported more than once. This device, again of a separating submunition nomenclature, uses a rubber boot to keep the main charge in place until deployment. One of the newer innovations recently introduced is the separating fuse device. In this model, instead of the main explosive charge kicking away from the body, the fuse separates itself from the main charge just prior to explosion. This eliminates the flying fuse threat as well as allowing for more accurate deployment. The body is cardboard in composition and is one of the lightest devices currently available. And the unit which has garnered a lot of attention recently is Def-Tec Corporation's number 25 distraction device, an all-steel, reusable, reloadable distraction device of which characteristics of design and performance were developed through the input of tactical personnel like yourselves. Made of gun steel and weighing in at about 1.5 pounds, it is warranted by Def-Tec Corporation to be reusable up to 25 separate live fire uses. With an average fuse delay of 1.5 seconds, it creates a sound level of about 175 decibels and a candela factor of nearly 2.5 million. The essence of the number 25 distraction device is the reload charge. It consists of the M201A1 fuse. This mechanical fuse system has an average 1.5 seconds delay. The fuse is inserted into a brass collar. This brass collar is hermetically sealed into a heavy-duty, specially designed cardboard tube. This cardboard tube contains 15 grams of explosive compound, generally referred to as flash powder. Each reload charge is packaged in a reinforced cardboard tube. Also enclosed are mylar tabs used for covering the top and bottom ports of the steel body. These, along with the printed instructions and caution sheet, are shipped in their own individual cardboard container. Each reload charge is individually serialized and classified by the Department of Transportation as a Class C explosive. One of the reasons for this desired classification is its unique packaging. Tests performed by the U.S. Bureau of Mines have determined that in case of an individual explosion in their shipping containers, sympathetic detonations of the adjacent devices will not occur. Where the number 25 distraction device separates itself from the pack is in the method in which the expanding gases from the explosion are vented from the body. The aperture, located on the bottom of the device, is equal in area displacement as the 6 holes surrounding the fuse on the top. This unique, patented design results in the equal and opposite dissemination of gases and pressures out and away from the body. In short, it is one of the safest, most reliable, and yet the most economical device available today. One of the features common to most of the distraction devices that are available in the United States today is the fuse system. The standard is the M201A1 mechanical fuse. The fuse is of the pressure release type systems. This means the safety lever, or spoon as it is commonly called, holds the firing pin back in the safe position, which is under the tension of the firing pin spring. The safety lever is retained in the safe or locked position by a cotter pin, which has a metal pull ring in its bend. Once the pin is pulled, the fuse is armed, and the safety lever, which is hinged with a T-lug, must be held firm against the body of the device to prevent the firing pin from striking the percussion primer. When the device is properly deployed, the safety lever will fly forward, allowing the firing pin to strike the percussion cap. Because the lever is anchored with the open T-lug, it will fly free of the device. The detonation of the percussion primer will activate the delay element, which will burn for about 1.5 seconds before initiating the main charge. It is important to remember that although the average delay period is 1.5 seconds, it has a time variance of 0.7 seconds up to 2 full seconds. In other words, it's not a fuse system you want to let cook off in your hand. In order to properly pull the pin on the M201A1 fuse, the device should be held in the throwing hand with the safety lever placed in its web. Left-handers will have to invert the device to do this. In this manner, the pull ring will always be facing the officer, minimizing the opportunity for the safety lever to move. Secondly, and most important, the cotter pin must be straightened. John Wayne, in his best days, never pulled a grenade pin with his teeth without first straightening it. Finally, the finger is inserted into the pull ring and firmly withdrawn. The device is now armed and completely safe, as long as the safety lever is held in place. One final note, professionals who work with these devices never discard the pin, just in case. Critics of the number 25 distraction device like to point out 2 disadvantages they believe exist with it. First, they say it's too heavy. Well, let any of them try that with another device. Of course, if you're going to throw it in one window, you don't want it coming out another window either. And accuracy is always a concern. And remember, windshields and rear windows should be avoided as target areas.
I thought that glass was made out of a little different material.
Can I try one, Terry?
You got the rough?
Can I try one, Terry?
The rough.
But there is another less apparent advantage that lies with the weight of the number 25 distraction device, one that hits close to home to any tactical officer who carries and deploys them. And that is what would happen if one of the devices they were holding was hit with a suspect's bullet. On the left, the officer fired a .357 Magnum armor-piercing round with a muzzle velocity of 1,500 feet per second. The officer on the right fired a 9mm full metal jacketed round traveling at 1,400 feet per second. Not only will the number 25 distraction device take the impact delivered by these two rounds without either penetration or detonation, each will perform as designed. Second, the critics say, it could be a very dangerous device if it ever fragmented. That is undeniably true. That was a distinct consideration Def-Tec Corporation had from the beginning. During the intensive research and development period, independent laboratories were brought into the picture to test the device in all worst-seen scenarios. A safe and reliable period of 25 full-load deployments was determined. In addition, each and every distraction device body undergoes direct pressure pull tests by trained quality control personnel, with strain tests exceeding 2,000 pounds. One of the primary concerns for any device is the amount of atmospheric overpressure it creates. Generally speaking, overpressure should not exceed 5 psi. Pressures in excess of that could cause physical injury. The number 25 distraction device has a known overpressure value of 1.6 pounds at a distance of 5 feet. This officer is holding an Anderson blast gauge used for determining overpressures. It is held at a distance of 5 feet from the point of explosion. Notice the lack of smoke density created by the number 25. Within seconds of the explosion, the hands and the clock can be read from across the room. This allows for immediate team entry, easy search, and threat identification. In addition, the overpressure value from the explosion was not sufficient enough to break any of the gauge's diaphragms, indicating an overpressure value of less than 1.3. Another consideration for any type of device is the fire potential. Deployed in a volatile environment, all devices are suspect of this malady. However, the number 25's incendiary intensity and duration is so brief, a secondary fire threat is minimal, as shown by its deployment onto this chair. The loading of the distraction device should be done by trained personnel only. Although the procedure is relatively simple, the same respect in regards to the handling of a loaded firearm should be applied here. First, the reload is carefully removed from its shipping container and visually inspected. The distraction device is picked up with the thumb and forefinger placed around the Def-Tec logo and the remaining fingers extended out and away from the body. The reload is carefully inserted into the top and rotated clockwise for 6 revolutions or until tight. The fuse is then snugged down very tightly and placed in the throwing hand. For most training purposes, the device should be thrown in an underhand manner to the target area.
Fire in the hole.
After the device has been deployed, it should be properly cleaned prior to storage or reloading. The first step is to remove the brass collar and fuse head. The open-end wrench provided in the toolkit may be needed to break it free initially, and then simply unscrew and remove the unit. The interior of the device should then be inspected, removing any paper debris. Finally, the bore brush found in the cleaning kit should be run through each of the 6 top holes, and the threads cleaned of any buildup. The number 25 distraction device is now ready for reuse. If the device is to be stored, a light coat of oil on the threads is suggested. The cleaning kit for the number 25 distraction device is simple and convenient. It consists of an open-end wrench for fuse removal, a bore brush for the cleaning of the top ports, and metal forceps for the cleaning of the interior of the device. These come in a watertight carrying case. Training should remain to be paramount when dealing with these types of munitions. In the world of explosives, there are no second chances. Along with the skills involved, education too is critical. There seems to be a gray cloud of ignorance that surrounds these devices. This is where training plays a vital role. One of the most frequent questions we get here at the Academy is, how do we go back and sell this device to our police chiefs and our sheriffs? And the answer to that was best put by an officer from New Jersey. And what he said was, I went into my police chief's office and I set a 9mm bullet on his desk and I sent an M25 distraction device down. And I said, Chief, which one do you want me to use first? And it's really as simple or as complicated as that. When working with distraction devices, there are several items of protection that should be worn at all times for personnel safety. Good quality eye protection is a must. Several desirable qualities are total peripheral protection around the eyes and both a shatterproof and fog-proof lens piece. In addition, ear protection is critical. This again is of a personal selection. However, those of a low physical profile and high density cushion are most popular. Gloves are also an important consideration. They should afford total dexterity and be made of a fire-resistant material. Common military-type flight gloves have been a popular choice for tactical teams. Other safety protection, such as face masks or balaclavas, are other options that should be explored. Rendering safe procedures refer to those steps or methods which are taken to neutralize or make safe an explosive device which did not activate. In a training environment, the following steps are suggested by Def-Tec Corporation. First, allow a complete 30-minute cool-down period. Then, wearing the proper ear, eye, and hand protection previously described. Bring a 5-gallon container of water to the device's location. Remove the reload charge from the body using the reload procedure. Slowly immerse it into the water. The device is now safe. Remove this to a safe area and allow it to sit for at least 24 hours. Then pour it out and flush it as you would a small gasoline spill. It is encouraged that you report the incident to Def-Tec Corporation so that we may assist you in determining what caused the failure.
The film you have just seen is not of the length nor the depth to have served as your training on distraction devices. It was produced by Def-Tec Corporation with two distinct goals in mind. The second goal is to serve as a training aid for those professionals who do train on the safe and proper deployment of distraction devices. Its first goal, however, is to reemphasize the importance of that kind of training. The purpose of the distraction device, like Def-Tec Corporation's entire product line, is to provide a reliable, less than lethal alternative to the use of deadly force. And in the hands of the trained professional, this device will save lives, not take them. And that is Def-Tec Corporation's commitment to you.